Hello and welcome to our last session for today, and unfortunately also the last session of this 3 days event. Again, I do have Ikuyo Yamada from Capella Systems with me, and we talk today about ad insertion and live streaming. Ikuyo, hello and welcome.
Hi, nice to see you again, Jutta. Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome. Ikuyo, before elaborating on the solution you brought with you, let's have an introduction in our topic. What are content license rights?
So basically, content ownership basically means like who owns the content, obviously. So whoever owns the content can drive monetization opportunities and essentially to make money off of the content. So you can see today like players like Netflix, Hulu TV, Apple TV, Disney's, they all have their own exclusive content. And that has become such a key because that is a vehicle that can drive the monetization opportunities, whether ad insertion into the live stream or the traditional TV sense where you sell the ad pods to sponsors and you receive revenue. So basically, content ownership in light meanings you have a right to make money off of the contents.
And what are the possibility to monetize the content and on the live or on demand streaming?
So the new generations are very used to kind of ad-free content. So subscription models, you pay monthly certain amount of money, then you get access to all this content. Netflix, Hulu is an example. Another way is to do server-side ad insertion, which we're going to talk a lot about this in this session, is to do ad insertion that is targeted towards specific audience. So there are different ways of monetizing. One for VOD sense, it's a subscription, live streaming, and ad insertion. And there are also some platforms that comes with built-in ads or ad sharing revenue schemes, such as YouTube Live. YouTube Live, you could do ad insertion, or YouTube VOD. Basically, whoever watches, the more viewers watch the content, YouTube shares that revenue with the content's creator who owns the content's right.
I think we all have an idea about live streaming, but what is ad insertion and what types of ad insertion does exist?
So there are a couple different type of ad insertion mechanism. The most popular one, it used to be content side ad insertion. I think you're very familiar when you want to watch some video on the web, you're kind of forced to watch pre-rolls where, the player starts some advertisement clip and then you get to see the content. So that is basically done by preloaded commercial clips. So, the viewers are but the problem with that is it's quite easy for things like ad blocker to detect where the ad is coming. So you could essentially block the ads. On the other hand, server-side ad insertion, it basically stitches the ads in as a single stream together with the content, so it's much more difficult for ad blocker to detect it. So, what we're going to talk about today is the server-side ad insertion is more effective and in a sense that it just also serves like a better viewer experience for whoever watching it. There's no abrupt, commercial to content to commercial to content. It's much better viewer experience in that sense.
Yeah, we all have seen extensive growth on online video portals in the last time and live streaming markets, especially during that pandemic. Can you tell me a little bit about your products for live streaming?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Since this pandemic and COVID, it just definitely drove the live streaming market. There are more contents that's being streamed. And then also it has become a norm for people to access video through internet. It used to be, that you have a TV, you sit down, you watch the contents, and it has changed a lot. So what we did is we came up with a series of live transcoding applications. So we have the Capella Live for live streaming. It could also be used as a standalone standalone, like a studio setup, like, it could be used by church or corporate and schools to do kind of production and live streaming. We also have a Capella broadcast manager that's designed for kind of 24/7 live streaming. So it comes with the scheduling functions, handling of ad insertion. And ad insertion itself has different ways to do. So for example, if you want to fully automate the process, we can ingest SDI that comes with ad insertion signals, and then we can convert it into Scotty35 that works with various SSAI platforms. So that's a BCM. And then around it, we have a few small tools that kind of assist live streaming workflows, such as Capella Live Editor for editing highlight clips. We have Capella Ad Controller, which allows you to manually insert ad at live events.
These different products you just mentioned are all part of the Capella Live series, but are they standalone products, or do you need to bundle them somehow to use them?
So you can, they all belong to the same family, but you can choose a product that works for you and then only what's necessary for your workflow. So we have customers just using Capella Live. We have customers using, well, obviously the broadcast manager needs to work with Capella Live. We have customers using Capella Live together with Capella Live Editor. So while it's just all belong to the same family, you could use it as a standalone as well.
You just mentioned your customers. What customers are using Capella Live, and could you give us one or two examples of their setup?
Yeah, so because our software Capella Live, it's very flexible and it can cater to many, many different type of live workflows. So one of the big use cases by church and religious groups using Capella Live Studio to do production and also do live streaming. We also have a school, so corporate using us to do live streaming events. It could be used for things like this, what we're doing. And then we have a large amount of customers who come from like broadcasting field. So they are using us to do 24/7 live streaming, basically bringing contents that they're delivering to TV, but then delivering over the internet. So, we could have so many different customers using us with different kind of live workflows.
Yeah, we spoke about insertion of ads, and I understood that the Capella Live series has a very robust feature to do this ad insertion. Could we look a little bit more in detail how that really works?
Yeah. So basically, when we talk about ad insertion, depending on who you're talking to, or among the, even the same customers, like broadcasters, they're already dealing with some sort of ad signals. So our software BCM is able to listen to different type of ad signals. So whether the Scotty 104 embedded in SDI, we could also listen to Q tones, the very traditional on and off ad signals coming from broadcasters. We could also be integrated with API or eSum for fully automated live streaming workflow. So we can take all these different incoming ad signals, and then we can convert it into ad signals that works with different various server-side ad insertion solutions.
So are the most of the customers from Capella Live also using the ad insertion, or is it separate?
I would say like right now because we have more customers more from a broadcasting market, so I would say about 80% of customers are using our ad insertion functions.
From the beginning, or did it grow over the time?
It definitely took us some years to come to this point. So, at the beginning, it comes from, we just want to use Capella Live as a standalone for the studio setup. And then over the few months to a few years, many of them grew from just a single license to now running 10, 20 licensing.
So you do also work together with YouTube and do YouTube live ads. Could you explain a bit how that does work?
Yeah, so within Cambia Live, you can register your YouTube account. So you can type in your account information, and from Cambia Live, it allows you can directly upload the contents to your specified YouTube Live channel. Now, that also works with YouTube's built-in ad insertion capabilities. So what we do is we convert whatever that signals from the source side, we convert it into Scotty 35 that YouTube ad system can understand. So then YouTube, from YouTube platform, the viewers just view as that's being inserted for the live stream.
So what are the most challenges the customers facing if they use streaming or in their streaming workflow if they use the ad insertion?
So basically, it's a very complex workflow. So you have to really make sure that you have a right encoder to do that, because our customers are dealing with traditional broadcasting workflow, and then they want to be able to deliver the same sort of kind of viewer experience. Like, you just don't want to kind of shower the contents with ads and want to maintain the quality. In order to do that, you have to have an encoder that is flexible enough to work with the different type of ad signals, and then also can do a very high quality live streaming. And that is a challenge for many of our customers.
What is the reason why customers should use ad insertion directly on the live stream and not like the traditional ways?
I think that, it presents more opportunities. I think when we talk about subscription models, there's so much as to how you can increase the number of subscribers every month, right? Like if you look at the Netflix, like most of the people might already have a Netflix subscription. But if you use this kind of like server-side ad insertion SSAI solution for like live events, the ad revenue opportunity is kind of limitless. As you have more events, you have more opportunities, and you could have one event that could reach out to so many audience from different kind of demographic, and that's the kind of opportunities that you don't see with the traditional VOD subscription type.
So I did already ask you yesterday when we talked about the file transcoding about your future ideas. I'd like to add this also to the end of our session. What is your idea about live streaming in future? Are the problems changing, the challenging, or is it just the amount? So what is your idea of the future?
I think it's very similar to, not similar, but a couple overlaps. So like for Cambia FTC, I talked about for us, the importance of video and text recognitions and how it's important for our transcoder to be smart, to be able to understand some content in the source. And then based on that, we make a decision. Now, I do think the live streaming workflow is the same as well. So we are focusing on technologies, things like, for the live events, we are doing things like scoreboard detection. So we can detect the scoreboard when the number changes, usually when the score happens, the goal happens for the soccer game. Then it allows operator to kind of quickly seek and understand where to create the highlight clips. We also do things like audio wavelength detection. So we know when the audio goes up high and low. So based on that, it helps operator to create highlight clips. So I do think that, live encoder also needs to be smart to be able to understand and recognize some information contained in the video. And then we could utilize that information to either create a VOD or to even make more live streaming workflow more effective. Another topic that we've been discussing about focusing is how to increase the density. So as we know, more and more live content's available and live streaming is happening. It's important for that single machine to be able to do more streams. So now we're looking into further optimize. We're also working on the Linux version, which will be much more cost effective. And that version will be able to run more streams using a single machine. And, obviously less license fee because there's no Windows license involved.
And is there a difference between the high professional users and the semi-professional, or people just like we need to do something because of the pandemic situation? Is there a difference?
I think definitely since the pandemic, a lot of people who don't come from broadcasting field, it used to be the broadcast engineer has to drive this kind of live workflow, and it's very complex to use those devices. But that has changed, I think, especially since pandemic. Like you guys are doing these live events entirely, like running your show with your team. And that is, I think, possible only because there are all these software-based solutions that are easy to use and it's effective. So that's exactly what we focus on. While our products are being used by tier 1 broadcasting customers, it is also easy for customers coming from, education or church or corporate will be able to use it. So our idea is to let's design a product that if you know how to use a computer, then you'll be able to operate this. So in that sense, it's the same whether that you come from broadcasting field or someone outside of it.
It might differ in the audience numbers of viewers. I think that it's a big topic, and I think Stefan spoke about this topic earlier today with his panel participants, and software support that is key. Ikuyo, thank you for today, for this session. It was a pleasure to talk as always.
Always, it's so great to see you.
I think we will be back in about 5 minutes to close our event. So stay tuned, and if you like to talk to Ikuyo, we do have just now a transcoding user group meeting in our coffee bar. Dave is also there from the Capella, and I think Stefan is also around to discuss the challenges and needs and answer questions all around file and live transcoding with the Capella products, but also in general. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ta. Bye.